was on the other night, and he was on a couple hours talking about his experience from the Rendlesham Forest, and it was some good stuff.
And then we had Rob on last night, and we were talking about alien abductions. I get these people that still want to come on the show, Tim, and they really, really think what is going on with abductions, or they're here to help mankind. I got to ask you a question. Tim, what is your feeling? What is going on with these so-called abductions, UFO sightings? Do you really feel that they're here to serve man and make everything good for us?
Well, when you say, are they here to serve man, that always makes me think of that old Outer Limits episode where the friendly aliens came down and, were going to take a select group of people off to their planet until one of them found the aliens with a cookbook called "To Serve Man."
Yes.
But that's this is a conversation that could really last over a number of different shows because it's such a complicated, complex situation. Because when what's called the modern UFO era, which is considered to have started in 1947, when the pilot named Kenneth Arnold saw the flying chevron-shaped objects over near Mount Rainier. And the phenomena has sort of evolved, basically, for really want of a better term, from that point, from people seeing strange things in the sky, which, of course, people have seen strange things in the sky, I think, as long as there have been people on the planet. But in modern times, it evolved then to people seeing these things coming down from the sky and landing, and then eventually creatures, beings, entities, what have you, started coming out and even started having conversations with witnesses. In the 1950s, you had the beginning of what was called the contactee movement. People like George Adamski or Donald Fry and Howard Menger. These were people who claimed that not only had they seen people coming out of these flying saucers, but they claimed to have had repeated conversations and experiences with these friendly, the Space Brothers. That's what they called them. And so from the 1950s up really until the early 1970s, you had the friendly Space Brothers, beings that claimed that they were from Mars and Venus and even Jupiter and Saturn, places like that. And, now, of course, that wasn't the only game in town. All across the planet, there were similar experiences going on. But there were also some just really, really bizarre situations. South America, especially in the 50s and 60s, had really, it's just like science fiction movie type of things going on, where people would see these crafts land, and really bizarre creatures would be seen coming out. You had giants, you had little hairy creatures, almost like little Bigfoot type of creatures that, and the hairy creatures weren't especially friendly. There was a couple of cases of the witnesses being attacked and clawed by these things. France in the early 1950s, I think starting around 1954, had a huge UFO flap where people saw creatures coming out that were dressed in what looked to be like almost like spacesuits, that you would see in science fiction movies. Helmets and hoses attached to backpacks and things like that. Now, eventually, this kind of shifted to what we would now call the abduction experience. Probably Betty and Barney Hill are the best example of people that probably the first to really gain any media attention. These people were coming home from a trip in Canada. I think it was in New Hampshire where they had their experience, where their car was stopped by a UFO, and they were actually taken out of the car by the occupants, taken inside the ship, and given a medical examination. And this kind of then evolved into more of the modern day abduction experiences. Again, in the 70s, you had people who were kidnapped out of their cars. We don't hear about that as much anymore. Now it's mostly like bedroom invaders, kind of like the Whitley Strieber type of situation, where these things would appear in your bedroom and kind of whisk you out of your room through the wall. Sometimes these people don't even report seeing a UFO. They just suddenly find themselves in, say, like a brightly lit room, and given medical exams or probes put into various orifices of the body, and a lot of people said that they had implants left behind. So
now I got to say something now, because Whitley
go ahead.
was on the show here, what, a week and a half ago, James, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He claims now that his implant is actually starting to communicate with him, which all these years he said it wasn't, and now he's when he's getting subtle hints of it's just weird things. He'll be on a computer, and all of a sudden he'll be asking the computer on Google some weird question. It'll come up in German. This weird stuff, and he feels it's coming, from the implant, that the aliens are trying to communicate with him, but maybe we're just not smart enough to realize it yet, or not able to comprehend what they're trying to do.
Well, he said.
Well, go ahead, James.
He said that they answer him in synchronicity. In other words, they don't answer him right away, but within the next day or two, through synchronicities of something he'll read or come across, and like a light bulb goes off his head, boom, there's the answer that he was looking for from the question he asked him.
Right. And there's a lot of experiencers who have the same thing happening with them. Synchronicity seems to go hand in hand with a lot of these bizarre experiences that these people are having. So, really, Gary, to kind of go back to your original question, I do think that these people are having real experiences. All right. That something is happening to them, even as far back as the early contactees. Now, of course, some of them were charlatans, just out to make a buck. But I think a lot of them actually did have original experiences, and then maybe as time went on and their experiences stopped, they kind of embellished just to keep the ball rolling. But when it comes to these abductions and things, something definitely is happening. But the question is just exactly what it is. What is happening?
Now, Tim, we got to go on break. And when we come back from break, why don't we try to figure out what is going on? Because this is going on now for thousands of years. People have been let's face it, we'll talk about that after the break. So everybody, get a cup of Java, a nice cup of tea, sit back, relax, turn up, your fireplace. We'll be back in 3 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark with me, Gary, on Night Dreams Talk Radio.
I gaze upon the annals of time, one thing that comes through: we are not alone in this universe. It's a thought that rings true. Ancient cave dwellers drew spacecraft on the walls. It's a recurring theme. I've seen the same thing while walking late at night, and I know it's not a dream.
From Maelstrom to Manat, Boston to LA, there are people asking questions and they will not go away. But what has been seen might not be what it seems. The government's shadows dance in the sea.
Tell the truth, they will ridicule everything you say and do. It's all part of a deception. It's a puppet master's tool. And
you can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. And thank you.
You're listening to my friend Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio, the best in paranormal radio.
Now, hey, John, I just, matter of fact, got your email you sent me. Evidently, you've been listening to the show the last couple nights, and you just said something very, very interesting. They are here. Hey, John Cleese, you're right. They are here. I just don't know who and when they're going to make themselves, apparent. Anyway, we're back with Tim Swartz. And, hey, John, I want to thank you for your email. I appreciate you, doing the intro for me. I need some new intros too, John. Anyway, we're back.
So I suppose the question, Gary. Now, John sent you an email that said they are here.
They are here.
So the question is, who are they?
That's the question part. I don't know. See, the whole thing is, we were talking last night with our guest, Rob. And what gets me is that these, aliens have been on our planet and visiting us for thousands of years. Cattle mutilations have been going on forever. People being evidently abducted is going on forever. I did go on today and checked, some statistics, and there is between 40 to 60,000 a year people missing in our country that they feel is no crime involved. They weren't murdered. Did something happen? They're gone. And this has been going on for year after year. Just in our country, something is going on. And again, you get these people saying, oh, they're here to help us. But you get people like on Terry Lovelace has been on the show several times. What he said it was a horror story. I mean, the poor guy was a U.S. assistant attorney general, a very credible attorney. And him, when he was in the Air Force, in the mid 80s, I believe, or 70s, him and his friend went camping. Well, they went camping. They thought